Hi everybody, welcome to the Peak Lapel, another episode of the Road to Mykonos. It's an absolutely beautiful day today, so there was absolutely no excuse. Had to come out for a drive. Before we go any further, timepiece check. Today I'm wearing Rolex GMT Master 2 BLNR, aka the Batman. So today I'm in the Ferrari California T. And actually in a convoy of some pretty awesome metal. Directly behind me is a Ferrari Testarossa from 1990. Behind that is a Ferrari 328 GTS from 1987. And last in the group, but certainly by no means least, Audi R8 5.2 V10, sensational car. So we have driven out towards Oxford in an effort to try and find some roads. I don't know if you can hear that. That's a couple of choppers that have just overtaken us in the traffic. So yeah, we come out to Oxford, find some roads, and really what I want to do is try and tell you what this car is like to drive quickly, because there are plenty of videos of California Ts, but not really on country roads how Ferraris should be driven. And I hope I will be able to answer the question, is it a real Ferrari? Does it have that spine-tingling sports car supercariness that the rest of the Ferrari stable has, and this supposedly not so much? So when we get out of traffic, I will come back to it, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you. Okay, so what else can I tell you about this car? The ownership experience, what's that like? As a car itself, it's fantastic. What I love about it is it doesn't get quite the same attention as other Ferraris. Some people don't even necessarily recognise it as being one until they see the badge. It's a bit more understated. It's not quite as loud, but as hopefully you've seen from this video, it really does shift, and it feels incredible when you're really pressing on. In terms of the sort of ownership experience, more than just being in the car, other than the fact that it's a lovely car to drive, I wonder whether it's because it was the first of the new generation Ferraris from the California T, and then the 488, and then obviously the F8 Tributo, which has just come out, where they're testing new technologies, whether it's in the engine, whether it's in electronics. There have been quite a few problems that I've had with it. Once, in fact, I hadn't even done 2,000 miles, and I was sat in traffic, and the bonnet just started steam just coming straight out of the vents, and I had to pull over. Now, of course, Ferrari were great, and they sorted it out and repatriated it for me because I wasn't in London. So great in that respect. But there have been a few things that have happened that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily expect of a car of this stature or price. It has had a few niggles throughout its lifetime, and this car is now 3 years old. Well, actually, it's coming up to 4 years old. But leaving those to one side, which I think you can probably forgive, bearing in mind it's a performance car. Ferrari obviously don't make that many. It's not like you're talking about Volkswagen or Mercedes that are pumping huge amounts of money into research and development, and making hundreds of thousands of cars a year. That's clearly not what Ferrari are like. It's a very small number, and so if you take that into account, then really you can't really expect it to behave in that way and be quite as reliable as those. But on the whole, other than that one incident, there's never been a problem that has prevented it from being driven. Just little niggles like electronic faults. So overall, leaving those to one side, it really is fantastic, and it does exactly what Ferrari, I think, set out to do. It has the grand touring capabilities. You can put the roof down when the sun is out, and it doesn't really impinge on boot space, perhaps a little bit, but actually it still holds a decent decent amount of luggage. And of course you've got the back seats as well, which are totally useless, frankly, as actual seats. And I wonder why Ferrari just don't make it a back parcel shelf for extra luggage. But other than that, it's excellent. Without losing control, I might add. I've got the Manatino switch in sport. This car doesn't have a race mode like the more focused sports cars from Ferrari, and that really tells you a bit more about this car's character. It is a sports car, but it's not an all-out race car, of course. And with all new Ferraris, as with this one, it has that bumpy road mode, and of course on roads like this, that is really, really important, because it just gives a little bit more roll, so you get a lot more grip, because there are lots of undulations and the roads aren't necessarily of the greatest quality, so you really need that just to give that little bit of extra roll. And you can find that, and actually you can you feel that the car has so much more ability to plant itself and accelerate with that mode on, particularly on roads like this. Okay, so we found some pretty good country roads now here in Oxfordshire. I've put the roof up so that you can hear me a little bit better. So it does get quite windy in here when you're travelling at speed, but so you should be able to hear it. You can also get a bit more of the exhaust note actually with the roof up, which sounds counterintuitive, but actually that is how it works. So once the gentleman in front of us actually moves out of the way, then well, it looks like he's going to move out of the way, then we'll be able to go get a little bit quicker. And I get to tell you what this car is like to drive in that way. So, I mean, it's a fantastic Grand Tourer, this car. It's a fantastic Grand Tourer, incredibly comfortable. It's got plenty of boot space, but ultimately it's a Ferrari. It needs to drive like a Ferrari, it needs to sound like one. And I hope the noise is coming through on the video, because actually it sounds pretty good. Double clutch gearbox, incredibly quick. Seamless gear shifts. The Brembo brakes really are fantastic. It's not a particularly light car, bearing in mind, of course, it's a hardtop retractable, but they really haul it down from big speeds very, very quickly and repeatedly. So there's a lot of stopping power there. This was, of course, the first production Ferrari to be turbocharged since the F40, the legendary F40, and so it was a big step for Maranello. But actually, the throttle response is nearly instantaneous. There are occasions when you feel like there is a little bit of turbo lag, but overall it really is excellent. I've driven the Portofino, and that's even another step on. The roads around here in Oxfordshire really are sensational, and you can really feel the car move around. And this is what it means by a proper Ferrari, because am I really getting the feedback through the steering wheel and actually through the seat to let you know what the car is doing, and you feel everything. The steering itself, I say isn't particularly feel-some. It's not like the old hydraulics steering racks that you got in the old cars, but it's electric. It's incredibly quick, but you can point the car precisely where you want it. it's not a 488 equivalent, but that's not what it's built for. This is built for touring across Europe, and then when you really want to get the hammer down, you can. And if you think about it in that way, Ferrari have done an absolutely fantastic job.